Hi, welcome to my bathroom. If you've ever seen me before, then you've probably seen me doing this. I'm a full-time mom, I'm a part-time performer, and I'm actually also a licensed cosmetologist. So I got the crazy idea about 2 a.m. last night that I wanted to change my hair up. I change my hair all the time. Anyone who knows me could tell you that. I've actually been dark for like 6 months almost, and it's time for it to go. Since this is just your average Friday for me, you're probably gonna see my 2 youngest children pop in here. What is it? Is it you? Is it you? A lot. But at this point you're probably thinking, what's the plan? What are we doing? I don't know. I haven't decided yet. All I know is I'm over what I have right now. My big issue with what I have right now is I went dark because since I've had my kids, I have 3, my hair has darkened over time, which is a normal hormonal thing that happens to a lot of women. Not all, but a lot. I used to be more of like a sandy blonde color naturally with every child, especially my daughter who's very blonde.
They stole it from us.
My hair darkened, and so I figured I should go dark and that I wouldn't have to do as much maintenance, and maybe I could just like do some fun colors on the bottom for a few months and, you know, leave my roots alone. Well, my roots are either too light or too dark. So if I'm blonde, they grow in really dark. If I'm dark, they grow in really light. You can see that my root color is lighter than this mid color. You can start seeing my pre-bleached underneath, and so it kind of goes like light, dark, light, bluish purple. And I'm just not about that. So the plan of attack here is we're gonna go with color oops. You might be thinking, but you're a professional, why color oops? Well, it works. It does. You know, it's a pain in the butt. This lie right here, only 20 minutes. No. It's 20 minutes to process, 20 minutes to rinse, and then more sets of 5 minutes to rinse. So really it's like a lot of commitment. But as I said, it works. It works and it's pretty gentle. So that is what I'm going with right now. We're going to mix these together. I'm going to apply it, and then we'll do this crazy rinse process and we'll see how it looks, and then we'll make a decision from there. All right, so listen, I'm licensed, but I'm gonna be upfront with you. People who are licensed, it doesn't mean that they know everything. I mean, if you've seen any of Brad Mondo's videos,
it's completely, like there's one.
You can go to the worst rated salon in your area and get a haircut. Those people are licensed. So people mess up all the time. We're all just doing our best out here. I do pretty good. You know, I am doing myself. You really should have someone else do your hair. If you want it to look its best, like best, have someone else do it. Someone good, someone licensed, someone with a lot of experience, or someone whose like style just jives with yours. I have a buddy who usually does my hair. I'm just feeling crazy today and doing it myself, which I do more than I should. Okay, so part of the reason my sectioning is so ratchet is because my hair is quite fine. I don't require a lot of sectioning personally. I would say if you have like more coarse hair, thicker hair, a lot of hair, section a little better than I did. So I have this beautiful cap on now. I'm looking super fresh. This is chemicals, so I have very sensitive skin, so you can see I'm getting a little red. You know, I've done it before. I'm not that worried about it. If you haven't used Color Oops before, do a test strand. A little redness is fine, I think, really. Right?
Yeah.
If you don't know how Color Oops works, basically it shrinks the dye molecules in your hair so you can just kind of wash them out. That's how it's marketed. That's what it's supposed to do. I don't know all the exact science behind it. If you want to look that up, you can. I've had my natural hair lighten a little bit when I use it, so there's got to be some sort of bleaching agent in it of some kind. But yeah, that's essentially how it works. So this part, the processing part, not a lot is happening. It's shrinking down the color molecules, so to speak. When the action really happens is when I get in the shower and I rinse for an eternity. So I'll update you when we get that started. Okay, so my shower's on, that's why it's so loud. But as you can see, it really doesn't look like anything has changed, right? Like I said, nothing really happens in this phase, like, at all. So I'm about to hop in the shower once it warms up. I will check in after I go through the first rinse process, which is, again, 20 minutes long.
Moments later.
I know, babe. Mommy just has to finish washing her hair for a million years, okay?
For a million years.
That's what it feels like.
One eternity later.
So this is what we have after that first 20-minute rinse. So, you know, it's not like I'm platinum, but it did a lot. I'm interested to see with the next couple rinses, whew, I'm a hot mess, how much strips out, because that's really gonna affect my overall decision on what I do with my hair. On the back of the Color Oops box, it says it doesn't work on like the fun colors, but it always strips out some for me. I don't know if it's like that for anyone else. Let me know if that's worked or not worked for you. I'm not opposed to doing a little bleach wash at the end if it seems like the right move. So I need to repeat this process 3 times. I'm gonna shampoo, rinse for 5 minutes, shampoo, rinse for 5 minutes, shampoo, rinse for 5 minutes. I'll check in with you every time.
Later.
Round 2 is done. We've 2 more left. This is what we're working with now. Honestly, I can see it more in person. There was a little bit of a change, probably on camera, not as much, but you can really see it through the top layer. The thing I was talking about before got more pronounced. So it'll just be interesting to see after the next round of rinsing what it looks like.
Later. In the void.
Y'all, I am like on a good day, like a 10-minute shower girl, all right? This is a lot of showering for me. This is a lot of sitting in the water for me. I'm so bored. But, you know, luckily my toddler decided to join me, so now it's gonna be much more interesting. There's a little change again, you know, I think after this last round and then once we see it dry, I'll have a way better idea of what I'm working with. Right now, it seems like I'm still kind of like in the light brown range, which is fine. We'll see what happens.
Later.
Finally, that part is over, thank goodness. There's just such a big difference between when it's dry and when it's wet. Obviously, I'm thinking right now still in the brunette range, which is fine. I don't have a problem with it. I just don't like when my roots grow out lighter than my hair color. I'm gonna go ahead and get it dry and then figure out what I want to do. For you, it only seemed like a second, but for me, it was getting my toddler down for a nap. I let my hair dry while I did that, so it's kind of crazy, but it's not unwearable right now. My roots are still a lot lighter than like my mid shaft. And then of course, you know, it took out a lot of the bluish purple that I had going on. So it's not like totally hideous. I can rock it for a little bit. I have a few things I need to do, but then I will see from there what I want to do.
Day 2.
So when I said later, I didn't mean the next day, but here we are, mom life. I have this direct dye reducer that I was meaning to try, so this seems like as good a time as any. We're gonna go ahead and mix it with water because it has that option. You can either do 3 ounces of developer, or you do 3 ounces of water. Water is supposed to be more gentle in theory. We're gonna go ahead, get this mixed up, give it a try, see how it goes. Right. I'm back with my crazy sectioning. Like I said before, my hair's pretty fine, so I don't really need to do a lot to get to everything. I'm sure it would turn out a little better if I did, but barely. My plan of attack here is I'm just gonna go ahead and apply it all over. I'm gonna see if it removes any of the brown dye. It's supposed to be for direct dye primarily, but it might help, just like with the Color Oops. Color Oops isn't supposed to be for direct dyes, but it did take a lot of my color out of the bottom of my hair. I guess we're just gonna see what happens. I'm putting the 3 ounces of water in here, and then I'm gonna add the entire contents of this packet. It's a weird green color. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm just gonna go ahead and mix it up. If you use the developer, it says to do it so it's like a creamy consistency, but I don't think you're gonna get that with water, but I guess we'll see. Yeah, I think that's about as good as we're gonna get. Actually was able to get it pretty saturated with just that one packet and the 3 ounces of water, which I'm pleasantly surprised about. I do wonder if you're using developer if you might need 2 packs since the water is like thinner. Definitely if you have long hair, you're gonna need more than 1 pack for sure. It's been about 5 minutes and I can see like lift on the direct dye on the bottom of my hair. I don't know if this is translating on camera, but I'm doing my best, guys. You can do 5 minutes to 45, and so I think I'm gonna try and do 45 since I'm doing water, but I'm gonna keep checking on it periodically and I'll let you know when I decide to wash it out. Check this out. When your hair looks like this, when you have a product on it, it's probably not gonna be that color. It's just the coating of the product, but I really don't think anything is really happening to the leftover brown pigment in my hair. I think it's just done what it's supposed to do and it's removed that direct deposit dye. So I'm gonna wash it out and we're gonna see how it looks. Okay, so for a product that I only used water with to lift, it actually did a lot, but I still wanna get rid of a lot of this leftover brown pigment in my hair. And so I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with a bleach wash. I'm gonna use my favorite bleach, which is this Joico blonding powder. I'm going to use an equal scoop amount to the same amount of shampoo and mix it together. And then you just go ahead and you scrub it into your hair wet. You let it process for 10 minutes and up. I'm probably going to only do like 10-15 minutes and I'll let you know how it turns out. Alright, so if you've ever watched a professional critique video or you've watched any of these hair disasters, you'll know that bleach doesn't lather, and that's true, but when you're doing a bleach wash, you are washing it, so you do want it to lather a little bit. So that's why I hit it with the spray bottle a little more and scrubbed it in just a little bit. So I'm really just trying to strip off as much of the unwanted pigment as I can. I can safely say I've never felt sexier. So I'm all nice and lathered up here. I'm just gonna keep an eye on it, see as it lifts out super slowly. I mean, that's the reason you use the shampoo and the water. It's a little gentler. It's just to strip out the unwanted color. I'm sure my roots are only gonna get lighter, and that's okay. Worst comes to worst, if I want like the dark root look, I'll put a dark color on my roots. I will try to match it more to my natural. Obviously, the color I picked before was still too dark to match. So I need to be careful about that this time. I actually set a timer for 10 more minutes because it's doing great. It doesn't feel like it's getting super damaged or anything. And I just want to try to get this brown section of my hair as light as I can just to see how equal of a palette I can get to start from here to here. Obviously the ends are blonde, so I'm not talking about that.
20 minutes later.
Okay, so I am not mad about how this turned out. It actually took out a lot of the leftover pigment from the direct dye, and it did lighten up the brown parts of my hair. Now I'm not really going to be able to tell exactly how well it worked until it's dry, so I'm going to do that right now. It actually did a lot. I think doing the direct dye remover in between did a lot to help. But this is giving me a really nice starting point. Hopefully you can see it in the light. My roots are lighter still, so I'm definitely gonna be darkening my root a little bit. And then I think I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys my at-home balayage ombre technique, whatever you kids are calling it these days, and get this a little lighter because there's still a little bit of a green tinge to the bottom. I could tone it up right now, you know, touch up my root, tone this up, and it would be, you know, a pretty natural color. But I do like doing things that are a little bit more fun. So I think we're gonna do a little at-home ombre. Another awesome style I could rock in public, right? So this is how I do my own balayage ombre thing at home. I section it like this. So I do one big section in the front, and I position the ponytail so that the shortest part is right in front. And I actually did that on both of these side pieces, and then these ones also are a little bit cheated forward. And then do two in the back right here, and then one on top. And I pulled it so it wasn't totally tight, so there's a little bit more give. And the reason for that is the rubber band should hold it in place so you get that rooty look, but it won't be totally, sorry, I can't take myself seriously with that in my face. Because the rubber band brings it all together and over directs it, it makes it different on every piece of hair. So that's how you section it. As you can see, I left out the back portion. It's my shortest part, and I have my undercut I had before is still growing out. Plus, I just personally feel like it looks better to have the dark part in the back. So that's why I left mine out. I'm sure you could like put ponytails in it also and do the same thing. I just haven't personally tried it that way. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to apply the bleach, and then just like with the ponytails, basically how much you put on and how in depth you go just depends on how much of your hair you want blonde. So you could just do the outside layer of it and just kind of comb it through or mush it through, and that would still give you a totally ombre look. But if you want to be really in depth, you'd go through like piece by piece and just make sure it gets totally saturated. That's going to get you the lightest and the most coverage. I'm going to do a little bit of a mix because on this one, I'm definitely going to want to go more in depth, get it really blonde. I like the blonde lightness in the very front of my face, probably on these two. But then on like this top section back here, I don't know, I'll see how I feel, how much I end up putting on. Okay, so I've saturated it. I'm just going to keep an eye on it. I definitely am not going to want to wash it out until the darkest parts have gone to like an orangey color, not a red color. Hopefully that will happen soon. Hopefully I'll skip that and in general after the bleach wash, but we'll see. It's been about 30 minutes, so I'm going to hop in the shower, wash this out, and then show you what it looks like. So this is what it looks like wet. I'll dry it so you can see it too, but with all that over direction, you know, all the lightness is primarily in the front, and then you get this kind of like ombre look. So this is it dry. For me, this is not something that I want my finished look to look like, but it is wearable. Like if you had to stop at this point and wait a couple days or till tomorrow, then you totally could, in my opinion. This is the back. I am having a little bit of that after bleach crustiness, but nothing too crazy, so I'm not that concerned. Overall, I'm really happy with how it turned out. If I were not going to mess with my roots or add more color to it, I would have been a little more careful in my application process, but because I wasn't really worried about any like little spots or anything, and they're not really showing up. So.
Pink baby!
I'm gonna go ahead and try level 7 Pearl Blonde on my root area. I'm gonna leave the very back of my hair out, but I'm gonna try it. If it doesn't work, I have another light brown I can just throw over it in a day or two. It probably won't be that big of a deal. I don't think I'll have like hot roots or anything. Hot roots are when your root is like way brighter than right under it. But then I'm gonna do the magenta going into the pink. So just based on how the roots are lifting, I probably will have to go back over it with a darker color that I got. I went ahead and put the lightest pink on the ends because when I go in and do the root, I'm just going to go in with the dark pink also and make it connect. But I'll show you what it looks like in between too.
Day 3.
So it's the next day again. I'm actually surprised at how light I was able to get my hair considering how dark we started. And I wasn't really planning on getting it very light. And now that I've slept on it and I see it again. I do have hot roots still, just a little bit. But I think instead of darkening the root, I'm just gonna put the darker pink color, Mystic Magenta, on the rest of my hair and see how it turns out. And if I hate how it looks on the root, I can add a dark later, but I think it's light enough that I could put it on and it would give it some nice dimension all the way down, and it would probably cover up my hot roots, but we'll see. I'm gonna let this process and then I'll rinse out and I'll show you what it looks like. I'm hoping that I like the way it looks without having to do my roots a little darker, but I'm really not gonna know till it's dry. Just like yesterday with the other color, it definitely did give me a little bit of a hot root, but it wasn't unwearable and it wasn't awful. So especially since I'm doing pink, maybe it'll be fine. I don't know. Obviously this has been a really long process. This will probably turn out okay, but it's definitely not going to be as beautiful as someone going in and hand painting a balayage and putting the color and being able to look at your head and see exactly where to put it without having to look through like 3 mirrors. So anyway, I'm interested to see how it looks. Okay, so is it perfect? But I'm actually quite pleased with how it turned out. I especially love the bottom with that lighter pink color coming through. Definitely like my root section, I'm still not the most happy with, but I like it better than what I had before. I didn't have to go back in and retouch it yet. And actually at this point, with how light I got my hair, I don't know if I'm gonna darken my roots up again. Maybe I'll let them grow out. I think for at home by myself, it turned out pretty good.